Hello, listeners. Welcome to 91.2 Dwadi FM of Jammu University. And today we are going to organize a podcast, and that podcast episode would be focusing on the pregnancy related problems. And yet, we are talking and we will be talking about some specific issues that are sensitive yet significant in our life, such those issues are such as surrogacy, abortion, and prenatal diagnostics techniques misuse, and such issues are to be addressed significantly. And before I begin, I would like to introduce myself. I am Aditya Sharma, student of the 7th semester of the Law School, University of Jammu. And before I begin, I would like to introduce our guest. And today we have a very dignified legal practitioner among us, and who needs no introduction among us. Our guest is Dr. Rajneesh Khajuria ma'am, and she is currently teaching as an assistant professor in the Law School, University of Jammu. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Rajneesh Khajuria ma'am.
Thank you, Aditya.
Please, ma'am, enlighten us about your experience regarding the legal field and also the field that you are right now.
Thank you, Aditya, for having me. I did my LLB way back in 2003, and thereafter, before I could actually went for my masters, I joined practice, which is the first thing all law students do. So, like all of you, even I was aspiring to be a lawyer, so I joined the legal profession. So later on, I did my master's and my doctorate in law, and that is why I'm here as a teacher with you guys in the Law School, University of Jammu. But I would like to share with you, my days of practice before the different courts in the J&K High Court. So it was a very enriching experience, I would say. And many times, we as women, I thought, women, they are facing so many things which as a lawyer I was very sensitive about, and I'm enlightened that you have chosen a topic for the podcast today which is very close to many women's heart. They want to know about their rights, they want to know what are the laws which are supporting them, they actually want to know what are the different forums where they can go and actually have those rights realized. So just providing laws in different law books, it's not suffice. That too we all do, we all know what are the different laws which are available, but whether these rights they are available to those women at the grassroots level, those who are economically deprived or socially deprived, whether they are getting it or not, and then if not, what are the ways and means by which awareness can be provided to them and they can be made to realize them. I think you as law students, this program which you have initiated, it is a very welcoming step towards that.
So, to begin with this, and also furthering on with the topic, I would like to ask you about that. Have you encountered the cases in your profession where any women might be facing any reproductive issue, or any women would be facing any problem or any issue with their women's rights?
See, Aditya, J&K, when it comes to women rights, particularly when we talk about the reproductive rights, the level of awareness is quite low here. But I would like to share one experience, though not directly related to the reproductive rights as such, but it was related to pregnancy and the birth being given by a woman to a child, and how she was handled in a particular gynecologist, that nursing home. That was a case which I came to have knowledge about it, and we dealt with it, and I realized that certain things, they are very sensible and very sensitive to deal with. What happened in that case, that a woman, she filed a case for medical negligence. So what happened in that matter, that after the baby was delivered, the baby was having certain problems. Now, as far as the medical science involved, there was probably when a child is given birth by a woman, so some sort of liquid comes out of the body of the mother, which sometimes gets swallowed by the baby. And if that is the case, it is the primary duty of the doctor to remove that liquid out of the mouth, so that the baby may not choke or suffocate because of that. So for that, probably they need some sort of medical equipments. So that nursing home was not having that equipment. Now because of that, the baby choked, and actually the doctor, he referred the baby to a government institute so that he can be helped. But while the baby was being taken, it died. Now obviously it was a case of medical negligence, because that, if I'm not incorrect, that was ambu bag that should have been there at the time of the delivery. Whenever such OTs they are prepared for, doctor should have all the equipment which could be of any use, or which could, in any eventuality, they should be there. So that was not there. So it was taken to be a case of medical negligence. But I don't know how much time courts, sometimes, because of the kind of procedure being involved therein, it takes a lot of time to decide such issues, such matters. But you can imagine the plight of a woman who has just given birth to a child, and the child dies, not because the child was not unhealthy, or for any other reason that the child was sick, but because of a severe lapse on the part of the medical attendee, or the doctor, if I may say so. So that woman must have got scarred for whole of the life. So these are the kind of matters which sometimes we also encounter as legal professionals, and we feel bad about it. At the most, what the court could have done, they might have compensated the lady, or they might have given some sort of punishment to the doctor, maybe. But obviously they are not going to suspend his license, or something harsh order might not be passed. So such cases, sometimes they make us think about that what are our sensibilities regarding such issues. So that this was one matter that came into my my area when I was practicing in late 2000.
Focusing on what you said, ma'am, I would like to ask you that how would you see and how would you tell me about the current legal framework that is being dealt right now, and also that how that legal framework is addressing the reproductive issues and the women's healthcare issues, such as one that you have iterated right now.
You see, women health care, particularly women reproductive health care, is a major area of concern. So regarding which we have certain laws, like you said, one which is very prominent is, first you need to understand what are the problems, which we need to address. One, if a woman is not in a position to carry a baby, maybe because of medical reasons or otherwise, then comes this new concept, particularly when we talk in terms of Indian scenario. It's a surrogacy, right, where a woman does not carry the child within her own body, but she prefers the body of another. This is one area of concern. Then what are the kinds of rights which the lady carrying the fetus will have, and what are the rights which will be available to the lady who will be having the baby. Secondly is, if I may talk about, is feticide. That is also one of the major issues. Now regarding that, we have another law which prohibits feticides. And why feticide is there? Because we have a preference regarding a particular sex when it comes to a child. Now that preference is obviously the preference of a male child. Now when this is in the knowledge of the parents, that the child which is being carried by the mother is not a male child, sometimes they may want to abort the same. So again the question arises whether it should be in the knowledge of the parents beforehand or not. So for that we have prohibition on prenatal diagnostics, whereby the gender of the sex of the child might be revealed to the parents. So likewise, dealing with each kind of problem, laws they have been provided. Now, how these laws they are actually being used, that is an area of concern, regarding which awareness is very much required. Now say if we talk about, just to give you an example, prenatal diagnostic techniques. Now what are these techniques? These are certain medical procedures which are performed on a woman, which are not which do not cause any sort of harm to the child in the womb, but they predict the sex of the fetus or of the child in the womb, if I may say so. So I'm using the word fetus because that is not fully developed, so it is still in cellular form. So that is why So because of the position of the fetus, now it is very easy and convenient for the medical professionals to understand. So your sonographist or your the person who's carrying out the ultrasound on the pregnant woman, they can predict, or they can tell the parent that what is the gender or the sex of the fetus, and then probably it might be with the choice of those people whether they want to carry with the fetus or not. Now because of this, it was found that the sex ratio in our country that reduced comprehensively. So in order to prevent these things from happening, the Indian Parliament passed a law which is called as Prohibition on Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques. Now the problem is, we all know that there is a law. Now this is prohibited. We must not do any sex determination treatment or procedure upon the pregnant lady, just for the reason, see, these procedures, they are actually performed on the pregnant ladies, but not for the purpose of determination of sex. So now you'll find that these are deterrent laws. So on the boards and placards, you will find on every such ultrasound facility or other diagnostic facilities, they'll clearly tell the public that we are not involved into this, because they also understand that it's a penal offense. But still, in far-flung areas, or people who are into monetary gain, sometimes they misuse these acts, and they do get the understanding or the knowledge of the gender of the fetus. So these are the things which we as society should think of, that what we are opting for. All the times it's not on the laws that laws have to perform their things well. It is we as society, how we are dealing with it. So I personally feel that now we have come a long way, and people now, they are treating men and women equal. They are not taking a girl child as a burden, because girls, they have proven themselves. Plus the parents, they are also that equality thing, that they are actually following the same. And we have seen that over the last decade there is quite a decline in such cases. But still, a large population is still there which requires awareness, where I think this gap can be filled up by students like you, who know what law is. You coming from the present generation, you understand that this disparities between the male and the female sex, these are very irrelevant. Girls are equally competent and capable of doing things, and they are not burden on society. Plus, in order to maintain that balance of the population, presence of both the sexes is required. If our community is filled with boys only, though, I don't think that that's going to last for long, because for the next progeny you will be needing a woman also, a girl also. So this awareness is very much required. I really appreciate the efforts which are being taken up by you in spreading this awareness. So yes, this is one area which I feel which was not considered as as giving a potent threat. But now that it has been identified, and you guys are doing a lot of good work therein, I have great hopes in that.
Indeed, ma'am. As it is said that laws are stringent, but still female feticide is common, and also it is a very important issue that needs to be addressed properly. Also, moving forward with the topic, we know that there are acts such as Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. So, ma'am, I would like to ask you that how such acts assist women during pregnancy and assist women who are uh, getting forced upon the physical violence upon themselves, and who are being in such a situation where they are mentally tortured. How does this act assist them specifically?
Okay, you see, we have just taken a leap from prenatal diagnostics to women protection of women from domestic violence. You see, laws, they are meant for catering to the needs of the society, right? So whenever something happens in a society, a voice is raised to deal with it. Now, over the past many decades, it was found that the women, they were not being treated properly, and domestically they were harmed and abused. So for that, this law, it was passed. Now you see, it is not only meant for the wife. First, we need to understand that So yes, when we say protection of women from domestic violence, we certainly understand that if any sort of violence, whether mental or physical, is being done to a woman, that is a penal act for which the person, the perpetrator, he can be held accountable. Now, vis-a-vis a woman who is pregnant and who is being maltreated, if that is your question, I think this law, it provides for a proper procedure therein. You see, for which action can be taken against that perpetrator, and it's a stricter law. It's not like a law which is providing for a normal procedure. So DV, now you see, we have so many cases of DV being registered before different courts. So that means this act is being taken help of by a lot of women who are suffering and who have been abused. But again, the thing lies that awareness, how although a lot of number of women, they are taking benefit of this provision, but still a large chunk of uh, women, I think they are still there who are ignorant about their rights under this law. So awareness is the key. We need to have programs, if possible, door to door step initiative could have been taken. NGOs, they have to play a role in spreading awareness. And last but not the least, of course, you as law students, the responsibility lies on your shoulder too.
Indeed, ma'am. Moving forward with the topic now, I would like to ask you that what are the grievances that are faced by the workplace women, and who are the facing problems such as there is a denial of maternity leave, termination, discrimination, or wage deductions. How does the problem is addressed?
You see, when we talk about working women, you need to understand, women are working in organized sector and unorganized sector. Now, as far as organized sector is concerned, these are not much of an issue because government has already laid down proper, they have framed laws and they have framed rules thereunder whereby these benefits can be claimed by those working women. Yes, problem arises when we talk about the women working in unorganized sectors. Now, there obviously, you see, you can imagine a woman coming to your place, as a house help. Would you be giving the benefit of that maternity act to that woman? Are you willing to give? Which means you will be giving her a holiday for say 2 months with the salary. So I believe how so much progressive we may sound, very few people are there who are ready to do that. So yes, women who are working in unorganized sector, they are suffering such benefits, they are not available to them, which should be there. When we talk about civilized society and we are taking the responsibility of all the people alike, then somehow the part of the society who can carry the burden, they must come forward and they must try to assure such rights to those women also. But otherwise, you see, for the women who are working, such benefits, they are made available to them. Say for example, if we are working here in the University of Jammu, so for University of Jammu, all the women working herein, they'll be getting the benefit, we call it maternity leave. Not only they'll be getting the maternity benefit, this maternity leave, but their spouses, in case if they are working here, they'll also get paternity leave. So that is made available to them to take care of that woman, because that time she is in a very fragile situation. So childbirth is a very it's like a second birth of the mother also. So she needs to be taken care of. So the father is also being given time, given leave to help the woman. So she is given certain financial assistance also. Then we have child care leaves, for another period of 2 years. She can avail the leave if she wants to. So as of, like I said in the beginning, that as far as organized sector is concerned, laws are there and they are being taken care of, and institutions, they do agree to those provisions. But yes, there is this huge gap of unorganized sector. That is an area of concern. Unless society is ready to provide these benefits to women working in those areas, it's a gray area, I must say. Tomorrow, if the government come up with some provision of the sort which is taking care of the women working in unorganized sector also, it will be a welcoming step.
Thank you very much for such an insightful and for such great insights to be shared with us. And it was truly an honor to have you with us. And thank you very much for giving us such important information regarding the topic.
Thank you, Aditya. It's a very sensitive issue, and I really appreciate your effort that you brought it forward and you spoke about it. And a young boy talking about these things, it is like a ray of hope for me that the society is moving in a better direction.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is all ours.
Thank you.
And with that, we end today's episode.